Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, in this ethics course, we are going to see the new chapter. So this chapter is chapter 6. We are going to discuss about public or civil service values and ethics in public administration. So we are going to start with this new chapter. This is chapter 6 in your syllabus copy, that is public or civil service values and ethics in public administration. So here in this lecture, we are going to know about status and problems of this public civil service values. So first of all, we need to know about what is this value. We already know about this value, already we discussed now previous lectures, and we need to know about what is the meaning of this public service, and later on we are going to know about this public service value definition. Because without understanding definition, without understanding example, we can't write answer in ethics. So please try to ensure the concept is clear, definition is clear, and examples are clear. And you need to have some ample examples in your hand to write examples in your paper. So one important thing that you have to remember, especially regarding this ethics, is ethics it is for totally 250 marks. Out of this 250, at least 55% you will be getting theory, and rest amount that is contributed to your case studies. So if you are perfect in this theory, then you can easily apply the concepts in your case studies such that that will helpful to increase your score in this ethics. So first let us try to understand what is the meaning of value. So value means, already we discussed in our second chapter, there we said about foundational values for a civil servant. So what is the value? Value is nothing but anything which a person thinks important for him or her. So value is nothing but anything which is important, anything which when a person, anything which a person thinks it is important for him or her is called as value. I hope the meaning of value is clear now. So now let us try to understand what is this public service. So public service is nothing but offering services to public by government. So public service is nothing but offering services to public by government. So here if you add these two definitions, that is definition of value and public services, so we can get this definition of this public service values, right? So now let us try to see definition of this public service values. So if you are talking about definition of this public service value, it is mainly defined as set of principles and tenets. It is defined as set of principles and tenets that a public service agency should observe in the discharge of its duties. So value means anything which a person thinks it is important for him or her, and public services mainly offering the services to public. Who is offering the services? That is by government. So public service values these are set of principles. So these are set of tenets that a public service agency should observe in discharge of its duties. So this is the definition of this public service values. And now let us try to go on to the topic, that is status of public service values. And if you open your syllabus copy and if you see this chapter 6, the first topic you need to know about here is the status of public service values. So this is a very, very important topic. Actually, there is nowhere which is written well regarding this topic. So if you want, you can make a notes. So if you are talking about the status of public service values, yes, so the status means that is whether it is relevant now or whether it is not relevant, or whether we move on to new values. So this is a thing we need to think about. So if we are talking about the status of public services value, so I can talk about there were some traditional values. Yes, till now, at present they are relevant, and there are some traditional values which are not relevant now. So because those traditional values which are not relevant now, so we are mainly moving forward to get some new values. So if we're talking about status of these public services, we need to know about traditional values which are having relevance now, and you need to know about traditional values which may lost their relevance, and you need to talk about what are the new public service values that we need in this present generation. So these are the three important things that you have to know in this topic, that is status of public service values. So we are going to talk about these three things, and I will be explaining you definitions, and I will be explaining you some examples, such that you will be having ample amounts of examples in your hand to write a good answer. Okay, so now let us try to see, first of all, what are the reasons. Yes, we need to know and we need to understand the status of this public services values. But before that, we need to understand why there are some traditional values which are relevant now, and why some values have lost their relevance, and why we mainly moving towards adopting some new public service values. So before that, we need to know about some reasons. So if you know reasons, then only we can understand the concept better, and we can appreciate the concept. So if you're talking about reasons, so there are 5 reasons. Because of that, some traditional values are relevant now, some traditional values they lost their relevance, and even some values we are adopting, they are new public service values. So first one is, so there is a shift from regulator to facilitator. So public services has been took a shift from regulator to facilitator. And second one is, so we mainly had some shift from regulator to development. We are mainly moving towards development. And next one is, we are mainly using information technology. Yes, we are mainly moving towards e-governance. That is, we are using information technology. So because of this, now we need to adopt some new values. So traditionally, earlier we need to have just a paperwork, but we do not use much computers, data registrations, or we do not have proper database earlier. But now, yes, even for the land also we have some databases. In different states they are coming up with different mechanisms. So we are mainly moving towards e-governance. So for this, to treat with the new challenges, we need to have some new values. And next one is specialized or technical administration. So we are mainly moving for this specialized or technical administration. And next one is new public management. So because of all these things, now we need new values, or sometimes, so all the traditional values, they become irrelevant. Okay, so here I hope you get these 5 things, like regulator to facilitator, regulator to development, information technology, specialized or technical administration, and new public management. So now let us try to see one by one in great detail, so that you can understand the concept better. So first one is shift from regulator to facilitator. So there are 2 words which are mainly given here, that is regulator, second one is facilitator. So you have to understand what is the thing which mainly done under this regulator, and what is the thing now we are doing under this facilitator. So here, what are the earlier values that are relevant, and how they become irrelevant, and how we need the new values here. Okay, so these are some important things that you need to know. So first one is shift from regulator to facilitator. So here, earlier we used to have just only the work, that is regulation. So public servants, they mainly focus on regulation but not facilitation. In this regulation, they are mainly focusing on regulation of activities which are detrimental to society. So we are going for only regulation of activities which are mainly detrimental to society. So in this regulation, it had, so whenever any party they are coming, so we will be having the same rules and same regulations. So regulation had to be same for the parties mainly who are placed in the similar circumstances. So whenever we are making these parties in the similar circumstances, then what happened, we will be having the same rules and regulations. So in this regulation, we are mainly focusing on especially inspection. For example, if there is any contract work, or if there is any irrigation work that is happening, yes, as a public servant, if you are responsible for that so and so project, you will be going into their places and you will be regulating, or you will be inspecting whether the work is doing or not, whether work is done or not. So if the work is done, whether the quality of work is there. So this inspection will be there under this regulation. So whenever you are going for inspection, if you find anything which is non-compliance to rules and regulations, then what we will do? So you will be having authority to provide penalty or to give some punishment. Okay, so this is the work under this regulation. So in that regulation, what are the values you need? So you need values, for example, integrity. You need integrity, you need honesty, you need impartiality, okay, and you need procedural correctness. That means you need to follow the laid procedure, procedural correctness. Next one is legality. So these are the values that you need, like honesty, integrity, impartiality, procedural correctness, and as well as legality. And now what happened? We see there is a shift. Okay, there is a shift towards this facilitation. So in this facilitation, we can see there are some changes. There are changes in the landscape of governance. So there is a landscape change that is seen in the governance. So now government which mainly starting acting as a facilitator. Okay, government which mainly started acting as a facilitator. So in this facilitator, here government need to identify bottlenecks which are present. So what are the grievances which are mainly faced by the people or the stakeholders who are involved? So in this facilitator, here government need to remove bottlenecks which are present here. So because of this, now that led to emergence of new values. Okay, so because of this shift from this regulator to facilitator, now that led to emergence of new values. For example, we need to focus on multitasking. We need to focus on customization. And we need to focus on team spirit. So this is the first important reason. I hope you understand this reason. And now let us try to see the next reason, that is shift from regulation to development. So already I explained you what is this regulation. So regulation is nothing but we are mainly focusing on inspection, regulating the activities, and if there is any non-compliance, yes, there will be penalty and punishment. That is regulation. And now there is a shift from regulation towards development. So development, it is nothing but it implies provision of services to engender the welfare. We are mainly focusing on welfare. So in which areas? Yes, we have some areas per se: education, health, and loans, and even employment. So these are some areas we are mainly focusing, especially development in these days. Especially if you are talking about education, malnutrition, health, loans, employment, we are mainly going to deal with especially vulnerable sections of people. Vulnerable sections of people, or we can say weak society. Okay, weaker, or we can say like weaker sections of society, or we are mainly targeting at a particular sections of society. So vulnerable or weaker sections are targeted people. So mainly to deal with these people especially, we need values. For example, simplicity. So we need simplicity, we need compassion. So whenever we are talking about weaker sections of society, this compassion will comes into picture. So this compassion I discussed in detail in our chapter where I discussed this fundamental values for the civil servants. Right? So this is about the second important reason why there is a shift. And next one here is admission, getting technical. So if we are talking about admission, so in our administration, so in our day-to-day administration as a public servants, so in this administration we are mainly infusing technology. We are mainly infusing technology into the lives of individual. For example, if you are talking about administration, you can talk about regulation as well as facilitation. Okay, in both in this regulation and facilitation, we are mainly using or we are mainly infusing this technology in our day-to-day administration. So because of this, whenever you are using technology, yes, we need to induct some technocrat. Okay, for example, you can talk about forensic experts, and you can talk about cyber security experts. So there are a number of challenges that we are seeing because of this cyber warfare. And even you can talk about experts, for example, security experts and architects, etc. Okay, so because of all these things, yes, we need now new values. So what are the new values we need? So we need team spirit now. So we need technology interface, and also we need specialization. Team spirit, technological interface, specialization. So because of this infusing technology in our administration, it mainly led to erosion or eroded some traditional values. For example, you can talk about hierarchy and as well as centralization. So there is erosion of some traditional values like hierarchy and as well as centralization, and we came up with some new values like team spirit, technological interface and as well as specialization. And now let us try to see next important reason, that is information technology. As you all know that we are mainly using this information technology, that is ICT. So if you are trying to write any way forward here, so we will be saying that yes, we need to move towards ICT, information technology, in our governance. So because of this information technology that we are using in our governance process, it may lead to broken down the walls of distance. So walls of distance between whom? That is government and as well as people or public. So that led to broken wall between people or public and government. Okay, now we can say because of this ICT, information technology, it also enables serving multiple citizens. It is also enable serving multiple citizens at a same time. So because of using of this information technology, yes, now here public services, they can deliver services for the multiple citizens at the same time. So because of this, now we need to come up with some new values. Okay, for example, innovation here. So first is innovation and second one is hierarchy. Next one is transparency. Next one is service at the doorstep. And next one is efficiency. So these are the new values. So what are those new values? Innovation is required, hierarchy is required, transparency is required, service at doorstep, that we are mainly talking about, and next one is efficiency. So this is about this fourth reason. And now let us try to see the next reason, that is new public management. So new public management means nothing but, in simple words, we are applying this private sector management principles into this public sector. So we are mainly applying application of private sector principles into public sector. So this is called as new public management. For example, we can talk about performance linked rewards. So if they are doing good, yes, they will be getting awards. Next one is customer centrality. It is also one important principle of this private sector. And not only that, they mainly focus on innovation, teamwork, entrepreneurial spirit and outcome management, and even they focus on flexibility and as well as capitalism, market supremacy. Okay, so these are some important private principles that we are incorporating in this public sector. So this is very, very important. And now let us try to talk some more important things here. So why we need to incorporate this private sector principles in this public sector? So this question might hit in your brain, right? So the answer for this question is yes, in this public service, which is mainly characterized by very much inefficiency, we can see there will be no accountability, there will be no transparency, and even if you want to move any file, so this will be a very slow movement of file. It is called a serpentine file movement, and even there is no automatic promotion that is mainly seen in this public services. So because of this, we need to incorporate this private sector principles such that we need to make governance process efficient and as well as effective, accountable, and they are transparent. So for all these things, we need to come up with this incorporation or application of this private sector principles into our public sector. Okay, so here to incorporate this, yes, we need some new values. So what are these values? For example, we need teamwork and we need value leadership. We need equality. We all need to focus on flexibility and as well as vision. Teamwork, value leadership, equality, flexibility and vision. So these are some important new values. I hope it is clear. And now let us jump into our topic, that is status of public service values. So as I said, there are three. First, we need to talk about traditional value. They are having relevance now. And traditional value, they do not have relevance now. And next one is new public service values. So we are going to discuss one by one in a very great detail. So first, let us try to discuss about this traditional values still which are relevant in this today's governance process. Yes, we already studied about some values in our foundational values. Foundational values of a civil servant. There we discuss some values like integrity, honesty, non-partisanship, and I also talked about empathy, objectivity. Next one is dedication to public service. So values like integrity, honesty, non-partisanship, objectivity, impartiality, empathy, dedication to public service. So these are some important foundational values that a civil servant requires. So these values, they have still relevance now. So if you want to get these values in detail with examples, so try to purchase the course that we are providing in this Rathod's IAS, that is ethics course by me. And will be like more than 45 to 50 hours of classes will be there, and there we are discussing each and every topic with examples and even previous questions as well. So that will be very useful. There I already discussed about this, what is integrity with examples, honesty, non-partisanship, impartiality, empathy, objectivity, and as well as dedication to public service. So details of this course is given in description box. Don't forget about this. And now let's come back. So if you are talking about the traditional values which may lost relevance, yes, there are some values. We are going to talk about 4 values with examples. So the first one is procedural correctness, second one is hierarchy, third one is secrecy, and fourth one is centralization. So first one is procedural correctness, second one is hierarchy, third one is secrecy, and fourth one is centralization. So now let us try to see the first one, that is procedural correctness. So what is this procedural correctness? That means nothing but in simple layman terms, I can say we need to follow the procedure. We need to follow the procedure. So what are the procedure which is mainly laid down? So we need to follow that procedure with willful diligence. For example, if you want to get an admission in any college for a per se, so yes, you have to write so and so entrance examination. So if you clear that entrance examination, you will be called for counseling, and after once this counseling has happened, then they will be giving you message like whether you have the seat or not, and later on you have to go to college and you have to submit the certificates and you have to pay some admission fee, and later on the class will be going to start. So there is some process here. So this process, it might be same as I said now in some institutions, and it may be different, but what are the procedure is there, we have to follow that procedure. That is called as procedural correctness. If you are following that correct process, yes, that is called as procedural correctness. So in this procedural correctness, we are mainly talking about following of laid down procedure with willful diligence. So whatever the procedure which is mainly laid down, so why we need to follow this? What are the functions of this procedure? Why government came up with this procedure? Yes, it have some functions. It mainly serves some functions. For example, it is mainly the guiding light of governance, and it is also helpful to prevent misuse of public resources, and even the noble purpose of this procedure, it is mainly to prevent misuse of authority. Okay, misuse of procedures or misuse of authority, and even we need to bring uniformity. So why there is a procedure which mainly laid down? Yes, we need to bring uniformity, and even it acts as a guiding light of governance. It is mainly acting as a guiding light of governance, and even that will be helpful to prevent the misuse of public funds, and even to stop or to prevent misuse of authority. So this is about some introduction regarding this procedure. So now let us try to see some important details. So if you are talking about this procedure, most of the procedures, they mainly laid long back. So based on the situation which is present at that time, they came up with these procedures. But whether these procedures are relevant now or not, because of technology, there are some developments which are mainly seen in our science and technology. So what are the procedures which are mainly laid down at that time based on that circumstances that time? So now they lost their relevance. Okay, because we need to update these procedures. For example, I will be giving you one common example. Even I think you might have watched one movie called as Dhruva. So in that movie, here hero highlighted one important issue, that we need to bring some changes in this conduct of autopsy. So yes, I will be explaining you the same example, that is conduct of autopsy. So in normal layman terms, I can say it is like a post-mortem. So after the death, we will be going for the post-mortem to identify what is the reason behind the death of person. So what happened earlier days, one procedure which mainly laid down regarding this autopsy here is, so after sunset here, we should not go for conducting of this autopsy. Why? Because actually this rule which mainly came into force from the Britishers' time. So at that time there was no proper electricity, but now we have proper electricity, and we have even generators and even inverters which are present everywhere. So why can't we now go for this autopsy after this sunset, right? So it is not at all necessary now. So here this is the one example I can say here. So if you see, whenever there is increasing of workload, so here people expectations also started increasing. So on one side there is increasing of workload, and one side there is increasing of people expectations. So at that time people, they are mainly focusing on outcomes, they are not focusing on procedure which is mainly followed. So here, because of increasing of workload and because of increasing of this people's expectations, so they are mainly focusing on outcome, but they are not at all focusing on what is a procedure which mainly followed. Okay, so this is about the example, and next one is hierarchy. So hierarchy means top we have one person, and below that we have manager, and below that we have assistant managers, right? And below that we have some workers who are working. So this is the hierarchy that we can see even now. So in this hierarchy, so this top person, they will hold authority over these persons who are mainly present below. So actually hierarchy means nothing but it is a chain, right? So it is a chain of employees in an organization. So it is like a chain of employees in an organization, that is called as hierarchy. So in this hierarchy, authority which is mainly present at the top most person over this lower persons. Okay, so this is the thing which mainly followed in this traditional public service organization. So in this traditional public service organization, they are mainly following this hierarchy. So if any file that have to move means, so from this lowest rung, it will be moving to this intermediate rung, and from intermediary it will be moving towards this top rung. So this is the procedure actually. If you want to get anything or any sign here, so yes, we have to start from the peon. So from the peon, he will be going into one officer, from one office to another officer, finally it will be going into top officer. That is, we will be having this hierarchy that is mainly following in some traditional public service organization. So here what is the problem? So if that file need to move from one person to another person here, so one person to another person to another person, yes, it will be taking a lot of time. So what happened, this decision making is becoming very slow. Okay, slow down of this decision making process will be happen. So because of this, what will be the negative impact? So in people they will create attitude that whenever we are going to this government officers, so they are not responding, so there is no responsiveness, and it will be taking a lot of time. Okay, and it will be like taking a lot of time, that means delay of the process which is mainly seen. And next one is, they says that there is no efficiency in the organization, so there is no proper effectiveness. Okay, so these also important issues from the people, okay, due to this hierarchy. And if you move forward, we need to talk about this secrecy. So what is the secrecy? Yes, this secret is very well seen in the traditional public service organizations. So secrecy means nothing but this public service observed the value of secrecy. So in this public service, we can say value of secrecy. So here it is nothing but functioning inside in this public services organization, they are mainly guarded by this secrecy. So people who are functioning inside these offices, they will be having a guard of secrecy. So here, if any person who want to get any information regarding the file which have to be passed here, so this information he can't get easily. So it is becoming very tough for the people to get information regarding, for example, land or assets or tax filing, etc. So this is the secrecy that is mainly seen. Okay, so here secrecy is one of the important thing, and it is one of the important cause for increasing of corruption. Okay, so I can say increasing of corruption, it is one of the important outcome of this secrecy. And even we can see there is a misleading, okay, misleading of funds, or we can say like misappropriation of funds, misappropriation of funds, or misleading of authority, or misuse of authority, corruption which is mainly seen. And now we need to say thanks to this Right to Information Act. So we came up with this Right to Information Act of 2005, which mainly focusing on revealing of information, that is mainly focusing on transparency. And even here now, here if you are talking about this RTI Act, if any person who mainly filed request regarding this RTI Act, I need so and so information, that information need to be disclosed by government. So earlier only the information which is mainly disclosed, that is necessary to be disclosed, but now only the necessary information that need to be hidden, they are hiding, and remaining everything will be disclosed. So because of this Right to Information Act of 2005. So we need to thank this Right to Information Act that led to increasing of transparency in the country. And next one here is centralization and monopoly. So earlier in this traditional public service organization, so public service delivery, so it is like mainly monopolistic and as well as centralized. Okay, so there was centralized and as well as monopolistic thing that is mainly seen in this public service organization. For example, per se, suppose if there is any issue of certificate, so who are going to issue this certificate? And the traditional public services, yes, they say that So certificate should be only got from this government offices. Okay, certificate should be got only from this government offices. So what happened here, all powers are centralized here. So whenever we are saying that all certificates to be got from this so and so public office, means here these offices will be overburdened. So whenever they are overburdened, that led to increasing of delay of releasing those certificate. So here in this new age public services, we are mainly focusing on decentralization. So we are mainly focusing on decentralization. So here government recently came up with this concept of citizen service center. Citizen service center. So here people, they can visit this service center and they can do their work can be done here in this citizen service center. So because of this, we are mainly focusing to end monopoly. So we are mainly focusing on ending of monopoly through this citizen service center. So apart from the citizen service center, we are also coming up with setting of this ombudsman. Okay, we are also coming up with setting up of this ombudsman. It is nothing but third party adjudication. It is nothing but third party adjudication agency, and mainly given power to citizen to question the government now. Okay, so this is about the second thing, that is traditional values that lost relevance. I hope you understand this topic much and you are connecting with me, right? And stay connected and let us try to see the next thing, that is new public service values. And if we complete this, then we are going to wind up this lecture. So if we are talking about this new public service values, yes, some traditional values they had relevance and some traditional values they lost relevance. Yes, because of this losing of relevance, yes, we need to move forward to get some more new values that are helpful for our governance and that are helpful for our public service organizations now. So now, let us try to see those values. So here we are going to discuss about the 6 values. So first one is flexibility, second one is competition, third one is team spirit, fourth one is effectiveness and effectiveness, next one is risk taking, and next one is innovation. So we are going to talk about these 6 concepts. These are new values in our public services now. So we are going to talk about the first one, that is flexibility. So what is the meaning of flexibility? Yes, you might be saying that you are so flexible. If you are doing any gymnastic, any person says that you are so flexible, your body is very, very flexible. So flexible is nothing but it implies freedom. Flexible, it is nothing but it implies freedom. Freedom to what? Freedom to adopt any means within a broad framework. So within a broad framework, we are having flexibility, that is, we can adopt any means within this broad framework for the provision of this service to public. So whenever we want to provide some service to public, so in this broad framework, here civil servants, they have freedom to adopt the means. So this is definition of this flexibility. So if you see here, government mainly come up with a broad framework. So government mainly come up with a broad framework for service delivery, and here these public servants, they will be having a choice or freedom to adopt the means, okay, at the for the same. So here civil servants, they can seek to search they can search for exceptions especially. So civil servants, they can seek to get some exceptions in the rigid procedure, especially for the delivery of this services to the people efficiently and as well as in timely manner. So here one mode of civil service which do not suit all the citizens. So actually if any government which is mainly come up with one size fit for all means, it will not going to fit. So because of this, yes, in the present day civil servants, they need some flexibility. So if at all, whenever government which is coming up with a broad framework, so in that broad framework, it need to provide some flexibility for the civil servant to go for exceptions, to search for exceptions in that rigid procedures, such that they can deliver services for the people timely and as well as in an efficient manner. So for example, suppose if you are SDM, that is sub-divisional magistrate. So your task, it is to provide caste certificates. So here you are giving a task, that is you have to provide caste certificates, and this caste certificate should be provided only through online. But in your subdivision there was one tribal area which is present, or hilly area. So in that hilly area the small population of tribal people are there. So for that tribal people, they do not have proper network, internet connectivity, because they are living in a very remote area. There is no proper network connectivity. And if they want to apply for caste certificate, they need to travel some miles of distance to apply online. So at that time, as a SDM, that is a subdivisional magistrate, you can carve an exceptions of this settlement. And at that time, you can send a person from SDM office to that tribal area, and that person, he is going to accept some applications of the caste certificates in that hilly area, and they will be brought to this SDM office. In this SDM office, they can make them online. So in this way here, as a SDM, you can carve out some exceptions. You can depute a person to visit this hilly area, okay, every week. And for example, if you see the second example, if there is any recruitment which is happening for a particular job, so in that particular job, so there is a height requirement. So and so person who are eligible, they have to meet certain height standards. For example, let us take 165 centimeters is a height, but there is a tribal area. So in that tribal area, all people are short. For example, so the maximum height is just 161 centimeters. Then what will you do? So here, as a civil servant, you should write an exception. Okay, you should write an exception to incorporate this exception in the eligibility criteria, and you can give the minimum height, okay, that is mainly met by this tribal people. And next one is innovation. So what is this innovation? So in this innovation, it mainly implies finding better solution to problems, finding a better solution to problems, and finding a better mechanism, finding a better solution as well as finding a better mechanism of doing things. It is nothing but innovation. So if we're talking about dimensions, yes, in innovation we have different dimensions. So if we're talking about dimensions, the first thing we can talk here is interface of public with government. You can talk about interface of public with government. For example, if there is any applications are happening, so at that time we should not put any hassles on the people. So we need to make them aware about their application status, and there should be the easy applications and proper grievance redressal mechanism. And even we need to inform about the status of their application, whether the application is completed or not. So in this way here, we need to focus on this interface of public with government. And the next one here is preparation of government machinery for delivery of public service. So second one here is preparation of government machinery for delivery of public services. So in this dimension, so here government need to focus on delivery of public services. So it need to deliver the service to as many citizens as possible in the same time. So when we can go for the serving of a lot of amount of people in the same time? Yes, whenever we are using this ICT, that is information and communication technology, and we need to properly monitor the mechanism to assess the performance of the people and assess performance of government. And this one is we can identify credentials, and even we can go for managing of proper database, and we need to focus on proper grievance redressal mechanism. So these are some important dimensions. And now I will be going to give you some examples. So first example here is AEPDS, that is Aadhaar enabled public distribution system. As you all know that this public distribution system, which is having a very lot of loopholes. or leakages we can say. And there are number of ghost beneficiaries, they are enrolled in this PDS system. So because of this, we came up with this Aadhaar enabled PDS system. Under this thumb impression, it is now necessary to get the ration. That means the subsidized food grains, we need to give our thumb. So for actually there was one problem here. So especially some people who are having leprosy or some people who are having lost their fingerprints, yes, they can't get this rations. So for that people, here we came up with this iris scan. So whenever you are getting your Aadhaar card, so you will be also getting your iris scan there. So here we are linking your iris scan or fingerprints to this PDS to mainly to decrease the leakages or loopholes. So this is the first important example. And next one is we need to come up with this self-selection. We need to come up with this self-selection of beneficiaries. So if you are talking about this self-selection of beneficiaries, what is this actually? So it is nothing but this schemes has to be designed such that only eligible people they have to enroll into these schemes, and ineligible individuals they should not enroll. But you will be asking question, ma'am, how is it possible? So each and everyone they will be enrolling. So how only eligible people they will be enrolling, and why this ineligible people how they can't enroll this? If you are talking about this MGNREGA scheme, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So in that scheme, so here wages is very low. So because of this, the people who are in the dire need, they will only go for voluntarily, they will be going for enrolling in this so and so scheme. So we need to come up with such type of self-selection schemes. So this is the second important one. And the next one is, for example, there are some few services, so that each and every person, that is mandatorily, they will be going to apply for that. For example, for birth certificate. So each and every parent they will be going and they will be applying for the birth certificate. So in that mandatory services, that should be made automated. So here if you are having so and so authority, so they will be collecting the data. Okay, the data will be collected from this nearby hospitals, government hospitals, private hospitals, and automatically this birth certificate should be sent to parents. So within this so and so time limit, if the parents are not receiving this birth certificates, then only they can approach the offices. Or if there is any birth happened or delivery happened in the home, they can come and they can apply for the certificate of the birth. So here we can go for automated process. And third important one is risk taking. So what is the meaning of this risk taking? Risk taking is nothing but, in simple word, uncertainty. It is nothing but uncertainty. Risk taking is nothing but uncertainty. So we are mainly indulging in some activities whose outcomes are uncertain. So we don't know what happens, whether we will be getting positive outcome or a negative outcome. So when we are indulging in such activities, that is called as risk taking. Yes, there are many challenges that mainly seen in this public servants and the life of these public servants, and they have to take risk. If there are some few things or activities which already have been done or tried by others, and outcomes of those already tried will be more or less, they can be predicted. So that will not come under risk taking at all. That is no risk taking. So if there are uncharted activities out there, so if you are indulging in that activities, so what will be the circumstances? For example, you get positive outcomes and sometimes you may get worse outcomes. Who are responsible? You are responsible for that. So this is called as risk taking. For example, if you are a civil servant and you are mainly want to conduct one campaign, and for that campaign you need some advertisement agency. So you mainly approach some advertising agency for promotion of that so and so program, or for example you can talk about Indian heritage. So at that time, actually for that advertisement we need a creative work. Actually suppose three agencies they came, okay, they approached for taking this project. So one agency which is well good in this creative work, so that creative work is essential for this campaign. Then if you see the bidding, so bidding it is high than compared to the other. So if you are giving that project to other people, okay, other agency which is mainly bidding low, but they are not much creative, means what happened, this campaign will be failed. So if you move for this best agency which is of creative, and the cost will be high. So at that time you need to inform the step which is mainly you taken to the higher authorities, and you need to get ratified that why you gone for this advertisement agency which is bidding high. Okay, so this is the first example of risk taking. And I can give you the second example. So actually this second example, it is about transport services. For example, you are head of RTC, Road Transport Organization. You are head of so and so state's RTC, SRTC. That is State Road Transportation Organization, Transport Organization or Transport Corporation. So what happened? You need to buy buses. So you have two options. One is to buy 2 Volvo buses, or on another side you have option like you can buy 10 ordinary buses. So you are head of the State Road Transport Corporation and you have to buy buses, and you have two options now, that is to buy 2 Volvo buses in that same cost, and if you are going for buying of ordinary buses you can get 10 buses. So which option you choose? So if you go for this Volvo buses, that will increase the customer satisfaction and even that will increase the revenue. But if it fails, means so authority will be questioning that. So why you went for taking this Volvo buses over this ordinary buses? So there you have to take the risk that yes, I adopted this Volvo buses because I want to increase the customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is at most. And next example I can give here is if you are a district magistrate DM and you can sanction a works which is worth of, for example, 10 crore rupees. You have to sanction the work, that is irrigation regarding works. So you realize that after inspection, yes, tanks need to be desilted, and what are the buds which are present, that buds need to be strengthened. So if you want to go for quality work, that is desilting of tanks and as a strengthening of buds, it will be cost around 1.2 crores. Okay, let us say it will be like 10.2 crores, or let us take one more example, that is 12 crores. That is 2 crores which is extra. So if you want to take this decision of taking quality work like desilting of tanks and as well strengthening of buds, it will be taking like 12 crore rupees. So this decision that should be ratified by the higher authorities. So if you are sending this file to higher authorities, it will be taking some time and it will be delayed. So by then what happened, rains will be happened. So whenever there is overflowing or floods which happens, means what happened, the people who are present in this area, they will be got affected. So at that time you can take risk and you can go for desilting of tanks and as well as the buds, and this decision, so whatever you took, so that need to be ratified with this higher authorities. So this is the risk taking. And next one is efficiency and effectiveness. So what is the meaning of efficiency? Efficiency means more output. More output per unit input. So it is nothing but more output per unit input. So here I am talking about quantity. So I am talking about quantity. And if you are talking about effectiveness, here I am talking about quality output. Here I am talking about quality output. So efficiency means more output per unit input. So that is mainly focusing on quantity. And if you are talking about effectiveness, it is mainly talking about quality output. So here I am talking about quality and as well as quantity. So if you are talking about traditional public services, so here in this traditional public services, this effectiveness and as well as efficiency, they were mere expectations. They were mere expectation. Now it is mandatory. So now in this situation or in this generation, so this efficiency and as well as effectiveness, it is mandatory. So this is about this effectiveness and as well as efficiency. So I want to give you some more examples regarding this efficiency and as well as effectiveness. For example, if you are assessing the performance of any department, so if you are assessing the performance of any department, you are mainly focusing on money which is mainly spent by that so and so department. So how much amount of money which is mainly spent. So whether we are not focusing on at all the desired outcome, whether the whatever the desired outcome we are expecting that had been achieved or not, we are not focusing on that. But we are merely focusing on so amount of spending that may be done by that so and so department. So if we are talking about performance of, for example, education department. So we are mainly assessing the performance of this education department here is how much money which is mainly spent on building of schools and even buying of some teaching aids. But we are not focusing on the performance of students. We are not at all focusing on performance of students. Performance of students never been analyzed in this performance or assessing of this education department. So this is one example. And next one is we need to talk about team spirit. So what is this team spirit? That means nothing but, team means nothing but bunch of people. So bunch of people. So these bunch of people, they are working together. So these bunch of people, they are working together and they will be having a common objective. So team means nothing but, so there are bunch of people who are working together. They want to realize their common objective. So what is the meaning of spirit? Spirit means, in short, I can say it is feeling. Spirit means feeling. Team means bunch of people, they are working together to achieve their common objective. So team spirit, it is nothing but, I can say it is feeling. Feeling of what? Feeling of belongingness. Feeling of belongingness in a team. So team spirit, it is feeling of belongingness in a team. So this is the definition of this team spirit. So here team, it is having some important features. So what are the features of this team? Means, so everyone in the team, they are equal. No one is more or no one is less. Everyone in the team more or less equal. Everyone in the team is equal. And next one is what are the tasks which is main assigned to that team. So team as a whole, they will held accountable. So we can talk about accountability. So whenever any task which is mainly assigned to a team, so that team as a whole, it is accountable for the success or for the failure. So team entirely which is accountable for the success or failure. So here entire team which is mainly responsible or accountable for their success or failure. So now I am going to give you one example here. So here in this traditional public service organization, so they have a role, that is individual role. So there are individual role. So what are the tasks they are given? So what are the tasks for them it is given? So people, they individually work on them. So they do not have a common objective or the common role. But now in this public services, we are mainly focusing on team spirit. So entire team is accountable. So whenever we are having this team spirit, yes, the work will be done much faster than compared to this traditional public service organizations. So now let us try to talk about the last new public service value, that is competition. Yes, we are mainly focusing on competition. So why we are focusing on competition? As I said, we are mainly incorporating this private management principles in our government. So here we are focusing on this competition. So before talking about this competition for this team spirit, I didn't give you one example. Yes, I will be giving you example for that, and later on we will be coming up to this competition. So if we are talking about example for this team spirit, if there is any event or for example event management. So event management, it is one of the best example to explain about this team spirit or team activity. So for example, if you take government which is mainly conducting any event, For example, any melas or any fairs or fest or conferences. So here government servants, they will be forming into teams. So one team will be focusing on food arrangements, one team will be focusing on stage, one team will be focusing on accommodation, one team will be focusing on transportation, and one team will be focusing on this VIP protocol. Okay, so this is one example. And if you are talking about real life civil servants, I will be giving you one more example regarding this land acquisition. So if you are talking about this land acquisition, government has to acquire, for example, huge swathes of land. Means what happened, this land will be broken into small parcel and every parcel will be assigned to a team. So in this way here land acquisition process will become very easy. So these are the two examples for this team spirit. And next one is competition. So if you're talking about this competition in traditional public service organization, competition was not at all there, it was absent. But now we are mainly incorporating this new value, that is competition or competition spirit. Competition spirit, it is consciously infused into public service delivery. So we are mainly infusing this competition, okay, competition spirit into this public service delivery. So recently here we came up with for example, institution of awards, with institution of awards for so and so districts, which are mainly based on their performance. So mainly based on their performance we came up with the ranking of cities, ranking of states. Okay, so whenever the ranks are giving, that will helpful mainly to instill competition, okay, sense of competition, and they will be moving towards better administration, better public service delivery. And you might be knowing about this Swachh Sarvekshan awards that was seen recently in news. Okay, so here for example, some cities, they were mainly awarded with this Swachh Sarvekshan award, Swachh Sarvekshan survey, okay, based on some parameters of this cleanliness. And even recently we came up with this digital transformation index, that is digital transformation index, which is mainly focusing on performance of states in terms of their movement, in terms of their movement towards digitalization. Okay, recently here digital transformation index, which is mainly seen in news because it is mainly ranking the states based on their performance in their movement towards digitalization. Okay, so this is about this topic, that is new public service values. So till now we discussed the first topic of this chapter 6 of your ethics, and we discussed about what are the reasons behind the new values and as well as non-relevance of some traditional values. We discussed about values which are relevant now. We discussed about values which lost relevance. We discussed about the new values with many examples to understand the concept. And these examples will become very, very handy to write an answer. So this is about this topic, and to get all concepts clear in your ethics, especially from chapter 1 to chapter 7. So we discussed efficiently with example. We mainly focused on giving examples, and even I also gave you the examples of daily life, so that will be very, very helpful to get good marks in your ethics. So to excel ethics and to get more than 120 till 150 marks in your ethics, so please join our courses that we are offering in Rathod's IAS. Actually this is a demo video. Okay, so apart from that, we are also going to release 2 or 3 videos in the YouTube, such that you can get some idea regarding how this course which goes on. So by this I am concluding. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. So please subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy for further videos, and also please share and like my videos, and please join the courses that are given. Okay, and please try to visit our website rathodsiasacademy.com. There you can see many courses that we are offering in our Rathod's IAS, and try to join these courses that are very, very excellent and very, very useful. So by this I am concluding. Thank you so much. Go to Google and type Rathod's IAS. Then you can see our website Rathod's IAS Academy. There you have to click on login or register in the blue color. So if you have not registered yet, you have to click on do not have account and fill the details. You have to give your name, email ID, your mobile number and password, and finally you can click on this register button. And once your details are filled, then registration will be successful, and click on OK. And come back and click again on login and register, and you have to log in now. So after once you have login, click on the courses. There you can see course list, and in this course list you can see wide range of courses. You will be having play course and buy now button. If you want to buy course, click on buy now, and if you want to see demo videos, you can click on play now. There you can see 3 demo videos before purchasing of course, and for watching of those demo videos you have to click on the video and play button. Then video will start playing, and you can use full screen there.
Analyzed here,
and here you will be having some options for quality and as well as speed. You can adjust them according to your requirement.
Guidelines,
And you can watch 3 demo videos before purchasing of course.
7 to 8 guidelines we are
And
going
after
to discuss.
after seeing this demo videos, you can click on buy now, and you can fill the
syllabus.
details, and finally you can go for
So why
payment
you need to
process.
know your syllabus? Because if you want to study anything or if you want to start anything,
So these are
need
the
to
videos
have a
after
path.
the
You need to
payment.
have a
You can
way.
see
So that way
the
is
list
shown
of
by
videos
your
like
syllabus.
this.